if you're always negative, if you're always just complaining about things, if you're always just focusing on the negative, do you really feel like you deserve to be happy? You don't. You don't deserve to be happy. You deserve to be the negative person that you are. Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to the Alpha Social Club. I'm your host, Esteban. Thank you guys so much for joining me again. For those of you that are listening and have listened this far, I really appreciate you guys still sticking around and interested in just listening to what I have to say. You know, I hope you guys are having a good week. I hope you guys are kind of, reflecting on the year and hopefully you guys did a lot of cool stuff this year, and hopefully you guys are different people than you were last year, and hopefully you guys aren't waiting for January 1st to actually change something that you've been procrastinating about, because you don't need to have a New Year or a resolution day or a start date to something beginning of the year to try to change something about yourself, because if you're procrastinating for a day to start a change, then I think that you're definitely going about it the wrong way. And just a quick disclaimer about my opinion is that's what it only is my opinion. I don't want to try to pretend like I'm some kind of expert and that I know what I'm talking about, because that's really not the case. Anything that I say in this podcast, anybody that I have as guests, it's all opinion. It's all it's something that we in this country that we have, which is freedom of speech, that's really important, and it's important for us to be able to have a dialogue, and to talk and to express how we feel, because it's really important. I mean, I'm big on freedom of speech. I don't really feel like anybody, no matter how hateful the speech or the rhetoric is, I don't feel like anybody should be silenced. It's definitely our responsibility to not let certain words or certain people trigger us and making us feel smaller than them, or just kind of affecting the way that we are and our mood. It should be across the board. Everybody should be able to express themselves, and as podcasts are becoming more and more popular, seems like every day. We're definitely shifting towards more of a dialogue kind of community where there's a lot of people actually having conversations that are meaningful and coming to an understanding, agreeing to disagree, or whatever the outcome may be. It's just still important to have a dialogue. I feel like there's a lot of hate in this world that is geared towards people that, you might not even interact with, or you're just going by what the media is throwing at you. And that's your interpretation of that community. I'm coming from a Mexican American background, so I see it in the Latino community, as far as like the stereotypical Latino, that a lot of people that have never dealt with somebody of Mexican heritage, they have that kind of representation of what a Mexican is, and with the media and everything that the media likes to highlight, it's definitely it definitely distorts the image, and a lot of people just gravitate towards that, and it happens in all races. I've had the pleasure of having friends that are in the complete spectrum of what a human is, and I know there's a lot of good people in every race. There's a lot of bad people in every race, but sometimes I feel like it's just a matter of not knowing that person that you claim to hate. I mean, when you really talk to somebody that doesn't really look like you, then you quickly realize how there's a lot of things that you have in common and a lot of interests that you share. It's a tragedy that we haven't really went this route as far as having a dialogue, but I feel like with podcasts and YouTube, obviously, that one's been going strong for a while. I feel like it's starting to change the whole dynamics where people are actually having conversation and actually, engaging in interesting topics. And even if you don't disagree with somebody, it's definitely important to at least try to figure out where they come from and try to hear them out and see where they're coming from and why they feel like that, or why they have that judgment towards you. You won't be able to find out unless you have a dialogue and you let this person express themselves freely and with no judgment. And it's hard to understand, but I mean, sometimes I feel like, when I see like the president, Donald Trump, he gets a lot of hate and a lot of people dislike his agenda, and for obvious reasons, but I see somebody like that, and I mean, if I went through the same experiences that guy went through and was born in the same family that he was born into, I would probably be the same person. We just judge people from the lens of our experience, and we don't really put ourselves in that situation and think that, what, I could be like that. I could have that same mouth or that same filter that he lacks. I can have that, and I could, spill that agenda. I'm no different. It's just my experiences kind of made me the person that I am, and that's who I choose to be. But it doesn't mean that I can't be exactly like him. If I went through those same experiences, I would totally be like him. And why should I feel like I'm any different? The other day I was thinking that would things get better or worse, man, if humans focus on what's going on well rather than what's going on wrong? I feel like we concentrate a lot on the bad things, and for obvious reasons. I think that's how we're conditioned as humans, is to always be prepared and aware of like dangers or anything that might cause us harm. And a lot of focus that we have as humans is geared towards the negative things in life, and we don't really give a lot of importance of the positive. And when you really analyze your life, and when you really analyze society, I mean, there's so many positives that's overwhelming that we just don't focus on, because we're constantly worried about stuff that's happening, that's a negative thing in our lives, or something that we don't have in our lives. That's our main focus, but sometimes we fail to analyze what we really do have, and stuff like that. Journaling is really important. I've kind of adopted the 5-minute journal format, which you can grab a 5-minute journal on Amazon. It was I think one of Tim Ferriss's listeners created the 5-minute journal, and it's just a journal that you write in twice a day, and you pretty much answer simple questions that kind of make you appreciate what you have, and kind of make you look at your day and think what can you have done better or different. It's really important to journal and kind of take everything on a day-to-day basis, and you start seeing what you're grateful for. You start kind of paying attention for little things like the shower. I mean, how amazing is the shower? There was kings in ancient times that didn't have those luxuries that we have in ghettos in America now. I mean, something like warm water in a faucet, which I understand there's people that still don't have that, but the majority of us, we have those luxuries, and we definitely take those for granted. We wake up every morning and we turn on the faucet to brush our teeth, and we don't really think about water not coming out of the faucet. And when we start having plumbing issues, that's when we start realizing how important it is for some of these things that we take for granted, as something as simple as a faucet. When was the last time that you were grateful that your faucet worked, or that your shower head was putting out warm water in the cold mornings? I mean, it's stuff like that. I mean, we use the toilet, we use the restroom. That water is really clean. If you look at your toilet water, it's more clean than some people's water to drink, and that's what we use to like throw our waste in and flush the toilet. I mean, we flush really. Well, it's not clean water anymore, but when you first go into the restroom and you use the toilet, I mean, that's pretty clean water that you're looking at. Some people don't have access to that. When's the last time you were thankful that your toilet was working? That something as simple as that, it just kind of changes everything, and you start realizing how we take a lot of things for granted, and we're always just focusing on the negative things that are happening in our lives. And I mean, it's just something that's natural, and we can't really avoid it sometimes. But with like journaling, it definitely makes you kind of appreciate things, and you're a little bit more mindful of like the situation and what you already have in your life. One of the cool little things that I do too is I have an alarm that I set for around 12:30 every day. You don't have to set it up for 12:30, but you can analyze your work schedule or just your what you have to do in a daily basis, and try to pick the times where you think you'll be more hectic, whether you're at work or just a part of the day where you normally would kind of find a little stress or it's a little hectic, and just set up a gratitude alarm. Every phone, you can always label your alarm, whether it be gym or, medicine or whatever. You can always put a little label, and I like to have a little gratitude alarm that's labeled gratitude, and it goes off at 12:30. And when I look at my screen and try to turn it off, it just says gratitude. So it forces myself to take a break of what's going on and kind of just be thankful of those little things, just be thankful that I have water, be thankful that I have food in my stomach, be thankful that I have clothes, be thankful that I have the people around me. And it's like everything is, it's like you have to be consistent, and eventually it just kind of changes your life. But if you're grateful once every 2 or 3 months, I mean, it's really not going to do much. It's something that requires like consistency, and it requires to be done on a daily basis to be able to kind of take any kind of change or effect in your life. But little hacks like that have definitely helped me as well. Like I said, I'm no expert. I'm not trying to pretend like I know everything. I'm just trying to, speak what I feel, and hopefully somebody can kind of use some of the stuff that I say. And if it helps you guys, it helps you. If it doesn't, hey, well, it's still very therapeutic for me to just kind of speak my mind and think out loud, because essentially that's what it is. It's just me thinking out loud. And I hear, a lot of people around me recently, since the New Year's coming up, they're thinking about resolutions or changes. I was talking to a buddy yesterday, and he was talking about how, he wants to lose weight, and, he's tried to lose weight before, and it's just kind of failed. And he just was really honest, it's just, I'm lazy, I have excuses and this and that. And it's one of those things that's a really common kind of New Year's resolution to try to lose weight. And I'm not trying to talk like I'm some kind of fitness model, but I did take a hold of my weight. I lost about maybe 50 pounds, and I've been consistently with my same weight for a fairly long time that I'm really comfortable with it. I really don't think about my gut or any of that stuff, but I surely do remember, having to feel self-conscious because, I had those dreaded man boobs, or I had to always suck in my gut because I just kind of felt fat. And I could relate to a certain degree with what my friend is going through, but that's one of those things that's a very difficult thing to kind of attain. And I feel like a lot of people go through that is weight issues. And, I understand it's something that's very hard, but one of the things that you have to realize if you're trying to lose weight is you have to honestly view the certain choices of food, whether it be sugar in the form of bread, soda, candy, cake, whatever. You have to realize that you're addicted to these foods. You have to see it as an addiction. You can't see it as food because, it targets the same brain receptors that drugs do. And, it releases dopamine, and you feel good when you eat a cake. And, there's emotionally eating that some people call it. I mean, it's labeled that for a reason, and if you don't view certain foods as drugs and realize that you're addicted, you're like an addict, then I don't know how you're going to take a hold of your health or your weight. I mean, it's definitely something that's extremely difficult to do. And I know people say, well, it's okay if you eat a cake once a week or soda here and there. I do agree with that. I just don't agree that it's something that you got to do from the start. I mean, I feel like you definitely have to, create a habit of not craving these certain foods, and your palate starts changing. Your palate starts being sensitive to like some of these cakes or sodas or candy bars. You no longer have that palate for sweet stuff, and it changes the way that you enjoy that stuff. So it also helps. But if you don't see it like you're an actual addict, like a drug addict, you're not going to see that there's anything wrong with having that cake once a week. But if you really see it as being an addict, then you realize that if you're trying to cut heroin, you're not going to do heroin once a week and expect to be chill. I mean, if you keep doing heroin once a week, I mean, you're definitely not going to be able to kind of get rid of that urge to get high, because you're constantly going to feed it. and you have to reprogram your body. So it's very important. I mean, if you're going through weight problems, it's very important to see it as an addiction and try to treat it in that way and use that lens to kind of take a hold of it. Because, you know, I have cake. You know, I once a week I eat carbs. I kind of follow the keto diet, which has been really helpful for me. And I do a little bit of intermittent fasting, which is 16 hours of fasting, and I give myself a window to eat. And sometimes it's 4 hours to eat, sometimes it's 5, 6. I mean, it just depends on how my day is and what my schedule looks like. But that's been what's helping me, and it doesn't mean that it's the end all. I mean, you could be a vegan and be awesome, you know what I mean? But sometimes when you resort to something like that, I mean, you're definitely lacking B12, which is really important, and stuff that you can only get from like animal products. So it's very smart. It's very important to educate yourself and see what works for you. And there's no need to bash other people's diet. There's no need to try to convey that your diet's the best one out there, but it's the one that's helped me. It's the keto diet, but we can all agree that sugar, certain breads, processed food is definitely across the board not something healthy. And I really hope that this friend, he's probably listening to this right now, so I really hope that he gets a hold of it. He just has to just think of himself as being addicted to food, because that's exactly what it is. I mean, sometimes you have to analyze, like, why did you start eating that way? Did you go through some kind of childhood trauma, or was there something that happened to you that you kind of relied on food as like comfort, and then it just kind of over time, it's just kind of something that you just naturally do and you naturally crave certain kind of foods and stuff like that. I mean, you know, if he changes the way that he thinks about food, instead of thinking about it in the sense where it's, you know, it's pleasure pretty much. I mean, when's the last time that you said, hey, you know what, I haven't had any, I don't know, bell peppers. I need some color in my salad. I need some greens and reds. You know, let me get some of that today. You know, usually when we think about food, we think about it in a sense, what are we craving? Man, I can go for a pizza right now, or man, I can go for a hamburger right now. You know, it's what you're craving, and you know, really, who thinks about it? Who thinks like, hey, what does my body need? Well, you know what, I need some B12 right now. So, or you know what, I haven't really had any fish. I can get some of those omega fatty fucking acids and shit. I can get some of that stuff. And you don't really think like that. You think of what you're craving. And that's also a shift that's very beneficial when you start kind of analyzing it more of like what your body needs and not what your body craves. And something like that can also help you. I mean, I know it's something that's very difficult, and you have to kind of fail sometimes in order to know what it feels like to fall, and then you get yourself back up and you keep going till eventually it just becomes a habit. And when I first, you know, went on a weight loss journey, I would kind of look at my stomach every day, and I was obsessed with it. And when you look at your body every day, I mean, you really don't notice any changes or anything that's happening. And it's definitely frustrating because you see yourself every day. You're like, this stuff's not even working. Like, what's going on? Like, I look the same. And so it's important to just kind of keep your shirt on and don't even worry about the mirror. Don't even worry about any of the stuff. Just try to bring it every day and be consistent and make better choices and drink more water, and just slowly your body's just going to start feeling better, and hopefully you get back on your feet, you know, because it's important. You know, they say that a high percentage of you know, one of the biggest killers is cardiovascular disease, the heart conditions, and, you know, a lot of things. I think I read somewhere that like 98% of the leading causes of death in the US are stuff that can be prevented just with the proper diet. I mean, that's huge. That's huge right now. And sometimes I feel like some of our doctors, they're not really well versed on what nutrition is or how beneficial certain foods are for our health. They're just pill pushers, and they're just trying to get you into whoever's latest pill is sponsoring that hospital that they have to push, and they don't really care about your health, which I don't really feel like is their responsibility. I mean, if you have a headache, if your stomach hurts, you shouldn't go to the doctor for that. I mean, you should first kind of figure out what you're doing with your life and change your diet, drink more water, and do things that you think you can do. I mean, there's a lot of information online that you can look up, but we're in a society where as soon as we feel something, our first move is to go to the doctors, and we have a lot of trust in them, but they don't operate with our best interests a lot of the times. And you know, I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you to fucking stop completely, but you know, in my personal life, the only reason I would go to a doctor if somebody shot me, or you know, my leg got chopped off, or you know, I need to require surgery ASAP. That's the only way I'm going to the doctor. But other than that, there's so much information online. There's so many things that are, you know, in the holistic realm that a lot of people still don't have a lot of faith in, but people have been using it for thousands of years. I mean, there's something there. You know, the information is not as available as other things because, you know, it dips into the big pharma's funds and their pockets, and you know, it's something that they're not gonna accept, you know. And there's a lot of things like I don't know if you guys are familiar with kratom. Some people say kratom, which is it's a plant that's grown in like Southeast Asia, out there somewhere in like Thailand, Indonesia. And this plant's helping a lot. It targets the same opioid receptors that like heroin and like Vicodins and all these opioids target. So it's just a natural plant that's been used for thousands of years that the DEA is getting a hard on because, you know, it's helping a lot of people kick their addiction to like heroin or like pills and stuff like that. And, you know, it's good for anxiety. I mean, my girlfriend's really into it. I take it, you know, pretty chill, you know. I always take some of her stash. But you know, it helped her a lot with her anxiety. And, you know, some people could say, well, fuck that. I don't need anything for anxiety. But, you know, sometimes you do need a little bit of help. And there's things like kratom that are actually really helpful. I mean, they do work. They don't do anything. They've been used for thousands of years, even though the DEA is trying to say that people are dying off of it. I mean, it's something that's been used for thousands of years. So, I mean, I really trust stuff that's like, you know, comes from nature and it's not tainted with anything like the stuff that's made in laboratories for big pharma. And the only reason that Thailand made it illegal is because Thailand used to have their pockets. The government used to have their pockets in the heroin business. And kratom or kratom, however you want to refer to it, they were dipping into those profits, and the government was not having it, so they made it illegal. And you know, the U.S., certain states, certain counties, even in California, I mean, it's illegal in San Diego. You can have it in Los Angeles. If you want to look up kratom, I'll put some links on the show notes so you guys can read up on it. If you know anybody that's going through like they're addicted to pills or depression or anxiety or stuff like that, maybe you guys can guide them in the right direction. We usually get our stuff from a guy called Christopher Botanical Organics or something like that. I think he's out in Jersey, but I'll put a link on the show notes for that and just some articles so you guys can kind of educate yourself if you've never heard of kratom. It's got like a bitter taste, but it's not a big deal. I mean, it tastes like, you know, something like a wheatgrass, or, you know, it's kind of bitter, I guess, but you'll be fine. I mean, there's nothing to it. You know, usually you grab one of those little water bottles and I would say for like a beginning dose, maybe you take around I don't know, like 3.5 grams of it. And so you put in the little water bottle and you just kind of shake it and you mix it and you're good to go. And it definitely does feel really good, man. It's good for body aches and stuff like that. So, you know, if you're going through something like that, if you're going through, you know anybody that's going through heroin or is on heroin or it's taking a bunch of pills that's just fucking up their liver or just fucking up their lives with some heavy stuff. I mean, definitely do check out some of the alternatives that are out there. And I think that's something that's really beneficial for you. But yeah, it's a lot of it, it's our responsibility. A lot of it is our choices that we make, you know, that's going to determine our health. I know a lot of people say, you know, like, well, I don't care, you know, we're going to die of something. Like, I don't even want to live a long time. This world's going to shit and this and that. But like, do you really feel like that? Like, Is that really what you feel like, you know? Or is that just, you know, your insecurities speaking? Because I'm sure you would want to live a long and healthy life. I mean, who wouldn't, you know? I remember I was watching a documentary called The Bridge, which was about the San Francisco Bridge. Apparently it's like a big spot for like suicides. A lot of people like to jump off that bridge, so it attracts a lot of people from all over the country, and that's their go-to to commit suicide. And it's a filmmaker that spent a year out there, and he was just filming the bridge, and you can kind of tell people pacing back and forth, the ones that were gonna jump. And so he kind of videotapes them going back and forth, and then the documentary kind of goes into like interviewing their families and try to get what led up to that. But in that documentary, there's a guy that actually jumped, and he said that when he was flying, you know, in the air, dropping at a high rate, that he instantly regretted it. Like as soon as he jumped and he felt the wind in his face, like he just fucking regretted what he did. And he was so sure that that's what he wanted. I'm not saying that everybody regrets it, but for this guy, it's very interesting to hear him talk. And now he's like, he talks about like suicide prevention. Like he's a speaker, and he goes around the country and tries to, you know, talk to people that feel like that's the only option and stuff like that. But sometimes I don't think that these people really feel that, you know, they're gonna die and who cares and this and that. It's hard to be a human. It's hard when we make it hard, you know. We overcomplicate this thing. That's why I refer to life as the awkward moment between birth and death. It's just it just seems right, you know. It seems like we make this really awkward, and you know, we try to get a lot out of it, but we don't really put in work sometimes, you know. Where I sometimes I contemplate things in my head that sound pretty harsh, but I really feel, you know, like this is the way that makes sense to me. Like, I don't feel like everybody deserves to be happy. I don't feel like everybody deserves good health. I don't feel like everybody deserves to be rich. I don't feel like anybody deserves anything that people say that people deserve. Because as harsh as that sounds, you know, think about it like this. If I told you that, you know what, I wanted to just chill in my bed and watch Netflix all week, but I wanted a check every week, you're going to be like, dude, you're full of shit. You didn't earn that. And so if you hold that thought, if you think that me being in bed watching Netflix all week, if you think I don't deserve a check every week because you think I didn't work for it, then apply that to like people that deserve to be happy. You know, when you deserve something, it's the byproduct of work. So if you want something done, you have to work for it. So if you want happiness, you have to do things that happiness is a result. If you're always negative, if you're always just complaining about things, if you're always just focusing on the negative, do you really feel like you deserve to be happy? You don't. You don't deserve to be happy. You deserve to be the negative person that you are, because that's what you're putting out. If you want to be happy, then you have to turn that around and think, you know, what can I do to be happy? You start refocusing on stuff that happiness is kind of the outcome from it. Then you deserve to be happy, you know? If I eat like shit all the time and I don't exercise and you know, I just don't care about my health, do I really deserve to be healthy? I don't. I deserve to be unhealthy because that's the life that I'm living. If I want to be healthy, then I have to do things that healthy is the byproduct and the outcome of it. If I eat healthy, I deserve to be healthy. And if I go to the gym, I deserve to be healthy. If I have frequent positive thoughts, I deserve to be happy. But that's a problem that I have when people just generalize like everybody deserves happiness, everybody deserves health. And what that does, in my opinion, and this is all my opinion, you guys could do whatever the fuck you want. Like, this is just my opinion. And I'm not here to try to pretend like I know shit, but in my opinion, you know, if you want to be happy, you got to deserve happiness. You have to do things that happiness is the kind of the outcome of it. And if you apply that to anything in life that you want, it'll change your whole life. If you really want it. If you're happy with where you're at, then don't even listen to what I'm saying. I just feel like it creates an entitled society where you walk around like you deserve things without working for them. You deserve to be healthy just because what? Because you're a human? Because you're a human, because you're alive right now, you deserve health, you deserve happiness, you deserve money. Why? Because you're human? There's more than that. Don't feel entitled. If you want money, do things that create money. If you want health, do things that create health. If you want happiness, do things that create happiness. If you want love, emit love, do things for love, and you'll get love. But if you want love and you're constantly putting out hate in the real world and in the internet, and your whole life is about hate, how can you get love from that? You don't deserve love. You have to refocus your life and kind of reevaluate where you're at and say, you know what? I want love. Do things that are in the name of love, I guess, if you want to say it like that. But if you really want love, you got to do things that love is the final outcome and the byproduct of your actions. Then you start getting love. Then you deserve love. Then you deserve health. Then you deserve money. Then you deserve anything that you work for. You start deserving because you work for it, But don't feel like it's gonna happen. You just have to keep going and kind of, because if you work at like Walmart, nothing against people that work at Walmart, but if you work at Walmart, that job, it creates certain wages. So if you're talking about living a life where it's like you can travel, you can have a big home or whatever it is, some materialistic stuff that you want, then probably working at Walmart, no matter if you work 80 hours a week, it's not going to get you that. You're going to have to just figure out ways to do things that are going to give you a better return on your investment, which is your time, Nothing against people that work at Walmart, but at that point, with your time at home, utilize it to try to figure out ways to make money. I've said it before. You can make money selling on Amazon. I have. You can make money selling on eBay. I have. You can make money selling on Instagram. I have. There's so many ways to make money nowadays that there's really no excuse. There's a lot of different outlets out there. There's a lot of different things, and sometimes it's just the lack of information. Most of the time, I would say it's just the lack of information that people don't think that they have the resources, or they feel like they need certain amount of money to kind of start a venture, and you really don't. You just have to have drive, But this is for the people that want change. So if you really want change, then you got to stop thinking that you deserve things that you're not working for, which is love, health, happiness, all that stuff. If that's what you really want, just analyze your life and think, what am I doing towards that? If you're not doing anything, you don't deserve that. And that's definitely a mindset that's going to help you. And that's a mindset that's helped me. And it's a game changer, But if you're happy with your life right now, hey, you know what? That's fucking awesome. I'm not here to criticize your life, If you're happy right now and you're happy where you're at, send me an email, man, or woman. Just send me an email and tell me, what did you do to get to where you're at? And I definitely, I definitely want to be inspired by your story. I definitely want to hear it, It's pretty awesome when people just kind of find clever ways to make money and just clever ways to be happy and stay happy, We've covered a few things this episode. Journaling is a big one. You can check out the 5-minute journal, which is a really cool daily journal that can help you stay mindful. And just kind of appreciate what you already have and not concentrate so much on the negative things in your life, and just kind of put some of that love towards the stuff, or that attention towards the stuff that you already have that you just kind of are blindsided for. Because sometimes, if you're lonely and you want somebody in your life, there's probably somebody next to you already at work or somewhere, that's already in your radar that you haven't really, considered, and because you think that it's going to come in a different form. And sometimes if you're not mindful, you miss opportunities that you have right in front of you. So, hopefully some of the stuff that I talked about helps you. Like I said, weight loss also we talked about. It's definitely not something that's easy. It requires a lot of patience and a lot of discipline. But if you really do see it as an addiction and you view it with that lens, it definitely give you a different perspective, and you kind of create a different angle to try to tackle it, and know the importance of slipping. If you think once a week you can have bread while you're trying to lose weight, it's just going to slowly kind of bring you back to that. And it's not healthy for you. Look at it as a drug, and you wouldn't take heroin if you were trying to cut heroin. You wouldn't say, once a week's going to be fine, because that once a week can kind of put you back and set you back, So just be really careful. I'm gonna end it with this, you guys. Like I said in previous episodes, go to the official website, theasepodcast.com. Under the contact page, you guys can fill out the information and send me an email, any questions, whatever it is that you guys want me to try to help you guys with. Maybe next episode I'll read some of the questions that I've gotten, and maybe some of the questions that were submitted. Maybe it'll help you. Sometimes you guys, we all go through the same shit sometimes, so maybe that'll help you guys out too. And just keep them coming. I want to hear from you guys. And hope you guys had or are ready for Christmas, because this will drop. Next week is Christmas, so you guys still have some time I heard the malls were empty actually, so if you guys don't want to do Amazon, if you don't want your packages stolen, just maybe hit up the malls or whatever. If you guys are into that stuff. I heard the malls are pretty empty right now because everybody's buying online. So I guess that's the move to do, or to try to capitalize on is hitting up the malls. But I really hope you guys are in a good mindset. I really hope you guys have reflected on the year. I hope you guys had a really good year. And by really good year, it doesn't mean that it was all happy. I mean, a good year could be a lot of lessons learned, and sometimes the only way you can learn a lesson is by going through some kind of hardship, or kind of going through something that shakes everything around you, and you kind of are forced to reevaluate your current situation. So if it's nighttime, I hope you guys have a good night. If it's daytime, I hope you guys are having a good day. If it's morning, good morning. Tomorrow's a new day. Peace.